Now, Chief Edwin Clark, leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, has urged the immediate suspension of the Nigeria Governors Forum, NGF, to avoid a political crisis. In a statement, Clark criticized governors for reducing state assemblies to extensions of the executive, limiting legislative autonomy, and stifling dissent. He also condemned the NGF's manipulation of federal legislative processes to secure political interest. Clark highlighted the NGF's shift from its original purpose of fostering cooperation to becoming a political bloc that undermines democracy. He called for reforms to realign the forum with democratic principles and ensure it serves the public, not personal agendas. Now, for a chat on the call by Chief Edwin Clark for the suspension of the NGF to avert looming crisis in Nigeria and the likely impact of the suspension on collaboration among governors. Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now. Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure of being as usual.
Let's start by hearing what you make of this call by the elder statesman, Chief Edwin Clark.
Well, he's an elder I admire a lot. And I agree with him on what he has said. But the solution that he has offered, that I disagree with, he wants them to be suspended immediately. That is not on. In a democracy, there's freedom of expression, freedom of association, and freedom of movement. That is what the governors have done informally. Nobody set them up, so who will suspend them? And then it's an informal association. You get me? They call it non-partisan, but I will call it bipartisan. Because all governors, they don't belong to the same party. APC has 21, PDP has, and the others, one. So, the old man is still very alert. And he even said it, that perhaps they will think he's getting old. But he's not getting old in terms of ideas. He put across very brilliant ideas. What he's afraid of is that the governors are using this informal association to get around our separation of powers and checks and balances. That they manipulate their own legislators to get what they want. And they manipulate the senators to get what they want from the presidency. But that is the essence of our separation of powers, the essence of the collaboration with the governors. They are not under anybody's instruction or leadership on what to do there. They are to collaborate in the best interest of their own state. What he is saying that they are getting too powerful, literally. That's what he's trying to say. But then, the executive is not important. They let the executive fight its own battle. As long as this collaboration with the governors is not reasonable, it's not something that threatens security. There is freedom of association, freedom of expression. I think maybe because Papa Clark started the military regime, using with immediate effect. You have gone beyond that. You are now a veteran democracy in our own context, in our own way. Yes.
All right, Mr. Sobowale. Nice, great opening as always. Now, when we looked at past national crises, we've seen that the NGF has served as a platform for interstate cooperation. Now, how would a likely suspension, even though you've already stated your case regarding that, well, how would a likely suspension affect Nigeria's response to cross-border challenges like insecurity and economic coordination? Let's just say it happens.
Who has the authority? Nobody has such authority. And if the president, it has to be the president or the government, if they do it, the first person to attack them will be Papa Clark. The first person to tell them that they are supplanting democracy will be Papa Clark. So let's leave that aside. It's not a realistic call. But what is accusing them of is things you can see. He too, inadvertently, is trying to protect our presidential system. You know, politics have always used that definition. Who gets what, when, and how. Maybe it feels the government are having their way too much, and they are maybe cheating the rest of us, which is his opinion. Get me? Which I'm sure the governors will never buy, but they will not ask him to shut up. But what is his own locus to be criticizing everybody? Get me? Just like he has his right of speech, the governors have the right of association and freedom of expression.
So you have said you agree with his take. However, you do not agree with the solutions he proffered.
Yes.
So what are the solutions you think could be proffered to, reform the NGF?
That's right. Continue dialogue. Continue observance of the rule of law. See, he said one thing, that they want power without accountability and influence without responsibility. Yeah, that says a lot. See, they will defend themselves by saying that they are elected representative of their state. If they manipulate their state legislation, that's the fault of their legislation. If it is impotent and cannot defend itself. I don't think we'll accuse them of trying to tamper with court judgments. Get me? Because those are the three arms of government, and they are separated, they are equal. Get me? And the rule of law thrives on their independence and ability to work independently so that one sector does not supplant the other, by fraudulent means or illegally. That is the only threat to the rule of law. So he is a monitor of sorts of our separation of powers. That's why I buy into it. He should continue with it. Nobody can stop him. He has said even graver things than this. He has said graver things. I admire him. He's a very observant. In fact, at one stage when I read that piece, I thought, this biblical expression, you say, the hand is the hand of Esau, but the voice is that of Jacob. For an old man, he's still very observant and very up to date on the state of our political affairs.
Okay, great, Mr. Sobowale.
Yeah.
I still want to go back based on the recommendations you just made, which are great, by the way. You said we should continue dialogue and observance of the rule of law. But how can we ensure that these are adhered to? These are great recommendations, but who will enforce these?
How do I put it? Okay, simple thing. If there are disputes, the laws will settle it. Okay. I mean, the law courts, because that's the duty of the judiciary. That's the monitoring body. That's the final interpreter of the law. And you see, the strength of the rule of law is that one arm does not aim to supplant the other. You get me? Does not aim to supplant the other. You don't want to go overseas. If you go, you know what is happening in America now.
Your favorite example?
Yes, and another one. There is another more dire example. In America, they have made U-turn through the electoral process. You get me? From one woke culture to a different culture. Done neatly. In spite of the traverse of Trump, he won because the electorate bought his program. The opposite is happening in South Korea. They have crippled their government. You see, protest is a right, it's a legitimate human right. But if it becomes too frequent and too rampant, it can paralyze governance. Has made nonsense of the rule of. They have a president who cannot work, and when they did not allow him, he's tried to put in martial law, and then ever since they have not forgiven him. They want to remove him. They want to remove him. Our democracy should not degenerate to that. That is why people like Edwin Clark are there to monitor and advise. And see, I think essentially our governors are not lawless people. So they know what to do. But I don't want anybody stopping them from collaborating from each other or trying to use their influence. He has said they have influence without responsibility. I don't believe that. But it is a caution. Power without accountability. They have accountability because they cannot flout the law. They will take them to court.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for the brilliant contributions, as always, Mr. Dayo Sobowale, Arise News analyst.